So, hi everyone. We're on February 17th, 2024, and I was just saying earlier, it's coming to an end, really, and which everything does, one way or the other. And so what I am wanting to see happen here with this course, with this treatment course, is that you get to do a fifth step and at least learn the process of what comes after, and you get the knowledge of what needs to happen after. I see in so many treatments since in the 19 something, when treatments started happening for alcohol and drugs, they, like, for example, at Hazelden, they would, I don't know if they do, they may not do that today, but that was like the flagship of treatments for addictions. And it was like a model, a Minnesota model, which was used all over the world. It was set up here in Iceland, the similar model. In Finland, I was there some years back as a speaker at about food addiction at the Society of Addiction Professionals there. And of course so all around England, Scotland, and in Scotland. And the base of it was a combination, as what we do, of assessing and intake processes, also setting up programs for people to follow, and part of those programs would be to do steps 1 through 5, and some treatments go for the first three steps. That's very natural actually to do. And you may have noticed that in my first, like, treatment 1, I worked on the first 3 steps. Those are kind of basic steps for understanding. But then as you go forward, the steps that come preceding that or following that, is the action steps. That's where we need action. And if we do no action, we will have no change, and we will just stay the same, which is stuck in resentment, feeling hurt and sore, fears, shame, guilt. We feel stuck. We're going to stay stuck there. And when we do this work, we start to get unstuck one issue at a time. One issue at a time. And as we go through the action process, as we go through the 4th and 5th steps, it's probably about the most important part of all of this, whether it's done through the 12-step programs or in some other way. That is a turnaround that needs to happen for a person, because we need to get a person out of being stuck in these emotions, right? Because these are the emotions that take us back to relapse every time. And if you look at work like the recovery skills manuals, different kind of treatment material, that I've come across, which is quite a bit through the years. When you go into that, let me catch my memory here again. Oh, I got blocked. So I'm trying to go back. I was talking about the fourth step and the turnaround. And when we go into the material of the turnaround or these action steps.
You were talking about other material that came from elsewhere, I think.
Yes. I
And
got off.
You said emotions take us to relapse. The emotions take us to relapse.
Right. Well, I can't get where I was before, but what the heck? Thank you. But but I think I kind of got it. So those emotions take us to relapse. It is the vicious cycle that we need to get out of. As we go into different programs, we need to become aware of basically that we're stuck, and we need a way out so that we can have a new life. And the fourth and fifth steps are basically giving us that kind of life. It is taking me away from being a victim of circumstance and into understanding my part in the equation and how I can make a change, how I need to take responsibility. And it's very simply, when we are kids and we steal something, we get kind of a stomachache. We know we've done a boo-boo. We should not have done it. We know in our gut, we know something's not right. And that is basically the feeling that we're needing to get to and to resolve in this work, so that if there's anything that I did wrong and I need to make amends for in one way or the other, that's what I need to do. Because those emotions that kind of are like a screw in your stomach. That's how I feel. It's like a screw in my stomach. That's the feeling that is underneath all of being stuck. And people are very unaware. They're aware, but they don't know that they need to get out of this. They don't maybe understand that this is what needs to happen. And specifically, when we have something like drugs and alcohol, the consequences of using those substances are so severe for so many people. We heard Paul yesterday, just like his alcoholism was so severe that his family does not want him to start drinking again, and so for sure that's where. But for the food addict, there's a different level of thinking about that, because our consequences are not as severe. We don't necessarily lose our jobs. We can have good careers and do excellent things in our lives, and I'm an example of that, in my life. And all of you are, every single one of you are, one way or the other. And when it comes to this, it's painful. It's really painful. And we need to take it seriously, that we need to do this work, because this is the base of us getting out of the rut, out of the roads that have holes in it, so that we don't relapse again and again. We need to learn to walk the road that does not have any holes anymore. I don't know if you've heard the story of the road with the holes. Maybe somebody has here. I can't quite remember it very perfectly, but I think it was actually, I need to find it. The holes in the road or something it's called, and it was like a it was like a poem. I walk the road and I keep falling into the holes in the road. And finally I need help to get out of the holes. Then I start noticing the holes. So I start swaying away from the holes, but I still get caught up in the holes at this point. And I need help to get out of the holes. Then I realize that there are roads that don't have holes in them. Did you find it? Did you find somebody, Tina?
I posted it in the
Oh, thank you, Tina. I don't know if I think I'm close. And the end of it is that you just start deciding you're gonna walk the road without the holes. That's when you honor your abstinence and you honor your emotional sobriety so that you can maintain abstinence. So yes, we have an abstinence, and then we need emotional sobriety in order to maintain it. And the emotional sobriety comes through working, getting to the turnaround, understanding what are the things that keep the screw. Where have I not made amends? Where did I steal something and I haven't made amends? Something like that. Where have I been rude or hurtful to another human being? Where has my behavior not been appropriate to other human beings or even animals? And I'm telling you, when I started going into this, going back and seeing my inability to emotionally control myself for so many years as a younger person, there was a lot of amends to do for me, for sure. And I've done it. I won amends to do with my sponsor when I talk to her next. And I can tell you it is a minor thing. It's a real minor something. But I want to be clear with anything and everything. Because if I'm not, I have a screw in my stomach and I feel it. I'm so sensitive to it. That and it's really so uncomfortable. Ugh! So I want to get out of it. So I do. Okay, so that's part of the roadmap, that I've set up a roadmap for you guys on what really is the process of this whole agenda. And I'll show it to you. I'll show it a little later. It's in your material, and the 10th step. So now, once we do the 5th step, once we take all the lists to a sponsor or professional or priest or whatever, what we need to get out of it is how I can take my power back, how I admit to my part, and this is why I want to always work on the 3rd step, where I take in the instincts and how how these instincts are mold us and make us react to different things that happen in our lives. We may have not gotten what we needed in our upbringing, and quite often that is the case. I don't really know anybody who has really had a perfect upbringing. At least when we started checking on it, there were a few things that came up for these people. Not to say that everything is like, really, really gross neglect or doesn't have to be gross, but some people for sure have had that. And so again, I lost it. I don't know if I'm tired or something, but I'll get back there. So where was I? What was I saying? It's actually a test to you.
You were talking about instincts and the step 3 and the reactions.
Yes, thank you. So the instincts tell us that, and when we then start looking at what other people had done to us in column 2, and those of you who have worked on this with me know that I take that down. I take it down so that we really, really understand what's been done to us. In column 2, we don't skate over it. Well, he was sick, or, no, we need to go into the reality of how we felt as somebody did something to us, whether it was real or not. Does not matter if it, and for often it may just be our conception on what other people are doing and reaction to it that might, have no grounds to it, because we have been molded in a way to expect the bad. And so then when a person does something, and then we need to take a look at, okay, so how is that triggering? How is that triggering my reactions? How is it affecting, and all of this now, the self-esteem, the, personal relationships, my pride, my security. And it took me a while to understand what emotional security was. I was like really blank when I was starting to think about that. And to understand that is how I get affected and how I react to other people. And for me, in my early days, I would react to people depending on how they behave to me, and be one thing for one and another for another. And if they were good to me, then I was happy and felt better. If they weren't, then that might be devastating for me. So, Esther.
What would you say emotional security is? I think I have some answers myself, but I would be really curious how you would define it now, or what would you say belongs there?
Well, when I kind of go inward and meditate on it, it's my inner tranquility. It's my inner tranquility. When I am there, my emotional barometer is in the green zone. And I can be in the day as things come up, coming from that kind of tranquility. Yes, I may fluctuate somewhat emotionally depending on what it is. And if it is something that is coming from something that that I have thought of as hurtful, then my emotional, waves will be more severe, and I will need more time to kind of settle down. And my program of action is always just to go through, more and more, go through the 4th step and understand, the base of it. It's such a good model to just get through the turnaround, so just to see, it's like I had to have a 2 + 2 is 4, equation, and that's it. That I went, we do 2 + 2, there is a 4. And this is the same that happens for me every time when I do the work and come to a turnaround. May take longer for some, shorter, and for some it's just like doesn't touch me. Doesn't, and later in life, after I've gotten more tranquility from day to day in me and within me, issues touch me so much less. It will come up, but it's usually much softer. And when it comes up, though, I need to always address it right away, not after 3 days, because then it has accumulated and gotten stronger. And so the thing to do for me is to get things happening, getting support or something before I go to sleep, if possible. So I know, Tina, you have something. I don't know if you, but Esther, you had something on this as well. You're okay? Okay, so Tina, go ahead.
Yeah, I just love this question, and I'm wondering, as I'm thinking, well, how would I define emotional security? I just have spent so many years not having any awareness of my emotions or what they are, or again, what they are, or that I even have them. And for me, recently in this last year of work, it's part of my security is acknowledging the feeling, and it's okay to have it. I think the insecurity of my emotions over the years has been that it's not okay to have one. So I think when I get in a mental construct of, oh, this is a good feeling, that's a bad feeling, shouldn't have that feeling's okay, that makes me insecure. I feel much more secure when I say, I feel angry right now. Okay, I feel angry. How can I let this anger come through me, process through me, rather than I don't have it, or it's not safe to have it, I need to get rid of it, and this is just an ongoing practice for me, is to build the security and the trust that the feeling itself is okay. Hanging on to it or denying it is not conducive to recovery. So anyway,
That was
I don't
good.
know if you want to say anything about that, or if that you feel like that's any truth to that.
I absolutely, Tina. And the good thing about emotions is when we sit with them, they pass on their own. And we don't have to do anything other than just feel the feeling, go into it, stay with it, be willing to be there with the feeling, and it will pass. And so it's good to know that the emotion comes so it can leave. It comes so it can leave. So to really think that's how things should be, and that's how things are when we let them. If we I love Eckhart Tolle's material when he talks about the emotional body taking over. and people just getting stuck in their emotional body. Everything is just so emotional, dramatic, and oh, are you putting something?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't see that it was recording. I want to make sure. Sorry.
I don't know what to do with this, and because I am recording, so deny. And we're still doing it. Thank you for taking care of me so well. Okay, yeah, so absolutely. I lost my trace, but yeah, it's
Talking about Eckhart Tolle and the emotional body and what he's saying about that.
yes, and so I remember when I was reading that the first time around, and again and again, because I didn't quite understand it right away, was that that it's the emotional body can be like an obsessive mind. It's like a obsessive emotions. You can be obsessed in your emotions, as well as you can be obsessed in your minds, obsessive mind. So as we are inside and we kind of go body awareness and kind of start feeling and sensing ourselves within the body, then we will start noticing things. So we notice our mind, what's happening in my mind. And then I start noticing how I feel, what's happening in my emotional body. And then I realized, it was a big realization, that there was a witness to all of it. There was something within that was witnessing all of this. And I kind of got acquainted to that. And for me, that is kind of a connection to, basically a connection to some kind of a wisdom side, higher power, what will you? Oh, the cat is coming. Okay, sorry, you guys. I have an animal farm. I thought I'd close the door. Let me see, just a sec. Patty, Patty, Patty. It's gonna turn. Close the door here. Yeah, so then I started practicing and understanding and realizing that we can get as stuck in our emotions as we can be stuck in our obsessive thoughts. And I used to be quite a drama queen, and I was very stuck in my emotions. I was terribly needy, and I was so lonely. Nobody was good to me, and I was just really, really there for a long, long time. Oh my God. I'm so grateful that I got out of having that misery existence. And I never feel lonely. I never feel that kind of misery anymore. And I know it's because I've done this work. And I know because I've settled with the emotions so that I welcome them. I'm willing to deal with whatever comes up, and emotions come with it. But I've learned to deal with it from my body. Because when I have only my little head to deal with such big emotions, it doesn't work. I need my whole heavy body to just be a vehicle for all of these emotions and all of these thoughts and all of this that I need to take on. I need my whole being to be there. So Cheryl, you had a question. I need your question.
Well, actually, I jumped in because my brain went right to thinking. Okay. Okay. And so, of course, I was coming from, oh, that's going to be from the lens of my life. And, you know, I was going from all that stuff and the lens, yeah, how I view my life. And then my brain went into thinking, trying to do it. And then when everybody was talking about the emotions coming first and dealing just with the emotions, getting rid of those, and then you would have the space to actually determine why. So it was kind of lovely just to hear this. And yeah, you kind of answered the question as you guys talked along. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, so I'm kind of going through, you know, the process of and the why behind why we do the step work. Why do we use it? What is it? Where is it taking us, really? And why do we need to go there? Why do we need to go there? And there are ways like what Paul was saying yesterday, you know, about mindfulness training, and you know, there's such a big part of recovery as and when we get to a place of being able to practice it. That is really not until I've cleared all my old reactions, you know, all my old reactions to people, places, and things, so that I get it, I notice, and then I take charge. Oh, okay, here I go again. Here's Esther being needy. Here is Esther, you know, whatever. And as things happen, and I take responsibility, and I take a look at, oh, okay, how have I held on to my reaction to what was happening to me, or what happens to me. And I think all of us have some kind of this I don't know if you noticed in your life, but I have for sure, that there are certain things that happen to me not only once, but they tend to happen again and again and again. And once you start noticing that there is something that comes up like that, it's not because the whole world is just up against me. It's because I'm reacting to issues within the world and not letting go, and or not knowing what to do sometimes, or wanting things to be my way, not wanting the dishonesty, not wanting to do anything about it, but have things happen that benefit me. And to, you know, manipulate, and then the fear of really addressing what is happening, the fear that comes up for different reasons also. Okay, so we take the fifth step, we do it with somebody, and then that person, it would be very beneficial if they knew this work, knew that there needs to be a turnaround, that people need to learn what their part is, so that you know, you doing this get helped in the right way, so that you get it. And it's not necessarily something that everybody gets the first way around. And usually that just takes a while, and you need to give yourself slack with that. That these are lifelong moldings. This is lifelong something that, you know, you just grew up doing the things that you're doing, and you haven't been aware of even doing those things and your reactions to it. So and we may be 50, 40, 50, 60 almost 70 me years old, you know, and so old habits die hard. Old habits die hard. But as we get the support of a person that will help us see our part so that we can make amends or make changes in our behaviors, and we understand and get humbled by our part in the situation. We need to understand and get humbled by our disease, how I am sick in the equation, how I react. That's where I need to go, because otherwise I cannot really forgive or come to terms with what other people do. If I don't have that understanding in the situation that I did a boo-boo too. But it is not, we're not trying to make us bad. That's not where we're going. We're not trying to make us bad. We're just we're just really facing reality, which is not something that addicts like to do. We don't want to face real reality. It's much lovelier to be in denial. You know, we have 200, 300, 400-pound people. Well, I can make a change if I decide to do it. I've just not decided to do it. You know, that's like, that is denial. That's denial. And we have a lot of that kind of denial in this disease, that I could do it if I wanted to. But when it comes down to it, for people that are sick with this disease, that they can't. And that's why the step one is so important, that we meet this part of us that cannot do what we want to do. Cannot. It's a place of powerlessness in the fullest something. Okay. I talk and talk. I wasn't going to talk so much. But I think it is necessary to kind of go through the process. Then we've done the fifth step. We take the big book out of the book shelf, and we sit for an hour or longer contemplating on the work that we've done. Is there a screw here still? Have I really cleared everything, or do I still need to clear something? And if that is the case, I do. We need to be willing to go to any lengths. And we've started the process. And as we do the process, it will be easier and easier for us as we go further. And there's going to be places for many of us that we're not ready to go to. It's the place where I'm never going to admit to this. I'm never going to not be right in this situation or whatever. And then we come to the sixth step, which is basically, it's like a faucet that we can screw the crane of the faucet. And when we do, we let go of emotions. And so that the emotional, that's where we even out the emotional barometer in the sixth step. And in the sixth step, basically what it is doing for us is, is being reminded again and again as we react again and again to life and situations and emotions. Now, something's happening in my computer. My hand went off.
You going like this, and it put your
I know, and this has been happening for like a week or something. I don't know what's happened, but anyway, something new. It's a possibly, and yeah. So the sixth step is where we really grow up. It says that's where where our growth is as we meet ourselves in the day. And in the 10th and 11th steps, the maintenance steps, it talks about we do this work every day in anything and everything that comes up. This needs to be the formula that we use for life to get rid of feeling a screw in your stomach. If you want that kind of life, and if maybe people don't have that, and then of course that there's no need, but we may need to know how to do it if a screw comes. And for you guys practicing, you may want to be able to help your clients get rid of a screw if they have it. How am I going to help my client get rid of this screw? So this is a model that can really help with that. And it's possible to just use the model from this. It's to understand the importance of the turnaround from being a victim into taking responsibility. And each thing that we go through, it's so genius that can't be from a normal person. Really, it's something so miraculous, this program and how it's set forth. And it's so much more than something coming from a genius man. It is really connected, spiritually connected program. That's why it works. Okay, so then we meet ourselves in the sixth step. We meet ourselves, and as we do, we understand that we're in our reaction mode again. That's where we are, like in the beginning of recovery specifically, and for the rest of your lives. You notice, aha, okay, I'm here again. And for the most parts, as I told you, I'm like, I couldn't care less what the weather is, what people do when I'm driving around, and just like, oh, okay. When somebody drives in front of me, I couldn't be bothered. For the most part, I couldn't be bothered with what other people do. But when I am bothered, it really bothers me. And I need to do something about it. I really do need to do something about it, because otherwise it will stick with me. And for the addict in early recovery, they cannot afford those emotions that come up, which again is reliving again and again what this person did, is feeling sore and hurt, feeling the victim of something. And then, of course, the fear, underlying fear and shame and guilt that usually actually comes from us having taken that on as a child and thinking that is something that is ours. If we cannot, now we are in the sixth step, and we cannot get rid of wanting to be right, for example. That's happened to me a couple of times, more than a couple of times. And I can't get rid of that. I want to wallow in self-pity now a little bit. This was really this person was not doing right by me. And I want to talk about it. I want to gossip about it. I want to make her wrong and me right, so I can get an erect spine and think I'm better. Those are the things that we do. Those are the habitual things that we learn and do as human beings in response to our instinctual needs. It's the ego that needs to be stroked. It's the ego that needs to be stroked. And Spencer talked about the ego quite a bit, and one of his sentences was that ego needs to be accepted and stroked and told it's okay. Then the ego is pretty good. We need to take that part in and be fond of it as anything else that we consist of, for sure, but aware. So we're in the sixth step, and I just want to wallow, and I know I can't afford it because I'm going to be eating or I'm going to whatever. So then there is the 7-step prayer, where we ask God to take our ego away, take this needing to be right away, taking away the self-righteousness, taking away all of these feelings and justifications so that we can be free of them and can just let go and get to the tranquil inner place again. So here in the 7th step, we're really stepping into the spirit of things. We're really asking, and we're really stepping into the spirit, because, and this is where we admit we are powerless over our thoughts and our emotions. This is where we're asking higher power, God, inner wisdom side, or whatever, to take away our emotional, mental obsessions that have come up again as a result of our molding, how we have dealt with, and we're just learning. So know with your clients and know with yourselves as and if you lose your abstinence and you're like have gone into the 6th step and you didn't get, you couldn't get rid of whatever the anger, resentment, or irritation and whatever it was that you get stuck in. It is because you don't know how to screw the crane of the fossil. I think I'm using the right word. You don't know to screw it, because when you screw it, it's an action. And sometimes I like to do things like what I'm doing here, just I'm like screwing the faucet. When I do, my emotional barometer quiets down. Emotions go. This is from Guthorn. I love this from his work. 7th step, asking for help when I can't screw the faucet, the crane. I ask God to do it for me. Every time I make some kind of an action, as we look at it, I make the action of writing out the list. I make the action of taking it to the 5th step sponsor and working through the lists. I make the action of understanding whether I have really done my work or not. I make the action of looking at myself on a daily basis and everything that comes up if I am back into my reactions. And putting on a pause button when I realize is a really good way of just taking a look. And then when I'm ambivalent and I can't really do anything, I can do the 7-step prayer. And for people that are doing this work, I suggest that they just do the 3rd step, the 7th step, and then we go forward with other ones, of course, and the 4-step ones. As a practice for a long time, as we're kind of learning to let go of so many of the issues and things that we need to let go of. Okay, so then we are up into the 8th step. And I'm going to stop soon and let's have a break. But in the 8th step, it is very simply, we take a pause and we write a list of the harms. If we haven't done it already, then we need to write out the list and of where I have harmed people one way or the other. And then I start praying about it. I need to pray or ask for guidance. And asking for guidance on each item on the list. And writing out what would be the guidance. It's like a 2-way prayer. So next Saturday I'm gonna teach you, or go over at least. And so as we ask this and we do this praying for people, praying for things, understanding what my thing to do may be, we prepare us to be willing to do what's needed to do. And that also can take some time. And remember, we do 3 lists. One is we do a list of people, places, things that we know aren't going to be that hard for us to do. So we start with that. Then we have another list, which might be people that might be hard for us to do. And then the 3rd list is something I'm never going to do. And then we just start kind of working on this, and eventually, hopefully, you do the work. And we're going to be going into the 9th step, and I added some material into on the 9th step, suggestions from the big book, which is actually 2 or 3 pages long, but we'll go over it, and so that we can start doing what will give us freedom. So when we did the 5th step, that gives us a real freedom of, we've opened up to our faults and whatever is there, and are willing to do that. And then the 9th step is really stepping into taking the responsibility that we couldn't, one way or the other. It's not because we're a bad person. We may have done bad things, but it is something that we could not do better at the time we did it. And one of the things that we need to do as well is to do a 9th step for ourselves. Never forget that. Never forget a 9th step to yourself. Okay, so I'm on top of the hour here. Let's take 10-minute break and come back. And Sakir is coming into the break. He's going to read it while we're getting you guys back. This is from Portia Nelson, and thank you, Tina, for finding this for me. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. This is when we've started to notice our reactions. Walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. I walk down another street. I love this one. I didn't actually hear it this way, but I guess there may be different versions of it. I like mine because I couldn't quite remember how it was, but it is very effective. Okay, everybody, so what I would love to do right now is to go around the room and just for you, now I took the first hour to kind of go through the action items of the action steps 4 through 8. And then we're going to do some work on the 9th step today, which is a huge, huge step to do, and it needs really good preparation for us. We need to kind of understand that we're not going to go there to humiliate ourselves at all, but we are going to take responsibility for what's been ours. And so as we go around the room, I'm going to just ask you to just talk about how your week has been, of course, but then also how you're dealing with the program of action and where you're at, where your troubles are, where you may have some issues and need support, or whatever comes up for you. And let's try not to have more than like 4 or 5 minutes per person. I'm not gonna be strict on time, but I'm gonna ask you to kind of keep you so we get everybody done. And if you are not in picture, they're probably eating or something. I know, but Sakir asked if he could start. Absolutely. Good to see you with your orange cap and the red glasses. Go ahead, Sakir.
It's freezing in Jordan.
Oh, really? You should be in Iceland.
Yeah, I guess I could not complain.
No,
But you guys have, rough skin.
well,
We're different.
yeah, we are.
No, actually, it's been exceptionally cold. Or I think, well, actually, after recovery, I
Yes,
can't take cold
me
anymore.
too.
And I thought my wife was bad, and no,
No.
put her in my small pocket these days.
Okay.
Anyway, well, I'm Sakhar, and thank God I'm abstinent, a food addict in recovery. I'm powerless over sugar, flour, picking, grabbing, and reaching, nibbling my mother's kitchen and what people think. Actually, it's been a hectic week. I have too many things on my plate, and I don't think I got rid of my perfectionism, so I'm just running around trying to get things done and juggling things around. I guess, I mean, I can say my recovery is stable because I have it as a priority. I play catch up even with it, but it's a priority. So whether I sit and talk about it, vent out, release some feelings, but I do the service, and I guess my biggest support these days is helping others. And that just keeps me grounded. So whatever, how crazy the day is, I make sure I make it at least to our meeting and contribute in that sense. I'm very grateful to my recovery actually, and the people around me that support me with it. And I guess just need to slow down. And thank you.
Thank you, Sakir. Yeah, it's sometimes it's life can be fun and a lot of things happening and but time and age will slow you down. Don't worry about it. It will just happen.
Do not start me with age, Esther. That's one of my new resentments. I'm gonna share one new resentment that came up. I struggled actually putting it right, but
Okay.
then like every time this week I went and see a couple of doctors for a couple of what I want to say chronic pains, and the answer was, for your age, you're fantastic.
Yeah, right.
So I should be very grateful for my age, that my knee is not working 100%, nor is my shoulder. And so on.
Well, it happens to the best of us, and those of us that are lucky enough to grow old. I remember when I heard that one, it was like a really good something for me to hear at that point, for sure.
And I think it's like I'm really grateful for acceptance. I
Yeah.
accept and I move. It's okay. But it's just the buzzword these days. So
Yes.
actually, I tell everybody, you never should take your health for granted.
No.
Relevant to whatever.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Saki.
everybody. And I'm sorry I have to keep my camera off,
That's okay.
but I'm listening. Thank you.
Okay. So maybe Nuwa, since you're back on, and Cindy and Jessica.
Hi everyone. My name is Nuham. I'm a sugar addict. Thank God I'm abstinent. I'm powerless over sugar, ultra-processed food, people and situations. My week was hectic as well, but thank God we are in the weekend, so I'm trying to take it slowly. I'm enjoying my week, and my week was hectic, as I told you, but I'm very thankful for my recovery because it always keeps me grounded again, and uh, it slows me down. Even with the course, I'm looking at things differently, my emotions differently, situations differently. I don't react as I used to. I take steps back, and I count for 10 before I react. So this is something I'm so grateful for. It it keeps me mindful as well. So thank you so much. And that's it. Nothing more than that. Thank you so much.
So Nuwa, just to question, how are you doing with working the work, like the step work? Something
Uh,
for you in that, or
yeah, I'm doing great with that. I don't have any issues to share, Esther.
okay, good. Just wanted to hear. Thank you, Nuha.
Thank you.
Okay, Cindy, you're next.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm abstinent and grateful today, thank God. I choose my meals from my food plan, and where am I? I'm abstinent and grateful, thank God. I've been in resistance. I am resisting. And it's a different level of resistance because I'm not resisting eating correctly. However, I have been taking liberties in that I have been working so hard that I forget to eat. Now, this is a violation of eating 3 weighed and measured meals. However, I am holding it that, but I didn't binge, I didn't overeat, I didn't eat the wrong things. I got in 2 meals and I wasn't hungry. That's a wonderful thing that I am so not obsessed with food that I didn't notice that I didn't eat like that. That's miraculous. However, I know intellectually it's a slippery slope because I'm an addict. I'm not recovered from food addiction today or recently. What I'm starting to notice is that I'm addicted to work. I'm a workaholic. Now, I always knew that about myself, but it was never a problem because I was addicted to being busy. I was addicted to producing results. I was addicted to controlling and having a schedule and doing all these things that brought me joy. That because I didn't have, an internal recognition or an internal ability to validate myself, I had evidence when I looked outside myself of my accomplishments. I did this, I did that, my kids did this, I did, I could check it off. But that was, my point is, I have a lot of recovery from that, but I'm still doing it on a different level. I'm not harming myself as a result of being busy, but I'm not being as meticulous about my self-care. I certainly got moved off my priority list. I used to say that when I first got into recovery around my food, and they would tell me, this is a selfish program. You have to be number 1 on your list. And that was very confusing to me because I wasn't on my list at all. When I looked at my priorities, it wasn't that I was 10th, I wasn't even there. So now I'm on my list, but I've got to move down. My first priority is producing the results I want to see in the world. And that moves me and that consumes me and that feeds me in a way that eluded me my whole career. So I'm delighted, but I have to see that I still need to come first. And that's what I'm resisting. I don't want to become the adult of managing my own schedule. I don't want to inhibit myself from doing what makes me feel good because I'm finally doing things that aren't self-harming. But it's still just another, these are the things I tell myself, oh, but I'm not berating myself all day. I'm being happy with myself. But I have to manage. I have to manage myself. I have to stay conscious to myself. And when I'm working, I'm in a zone. I'm not there in a good way. It's not bad, but I still have to put limits on that. And that's what I'm resisting. I'm angry about that. I don't want it. I finally got to a place where I'm feeling good the majority of the time about myself. And now I have to limit that. So that's where my resistance is. And I apologize. I think I think what's hard for me is I was always trying to get somewhere, and in a lot of levels I've arrived. But it doesn't, and now it's like I want to be done. I've had enough. I don't want any more. And that's resistance. So that's where I'm at, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Cindy. And thank you for bringing this out. This is so important for us to hear that we go into different, to see the effect of other addictions or disorders, how it affects, and how it can really hijack our brain. And what I'm seeing is that you just at the computer being hijacked day in and day out. My God, what fun you're having. And I can really identify because I know I am a workaholic in recovery. And one thing that I have suggested, and I have one Icelandic client now who really suffers food addiction, codependency, and workaholism. And now I've had her for a week, just write out all that she does and the times for not for tomorrow, but for today, so that it's an after effect. And so that's something that I'm going to suggest to you, and that you send it to me, and so that you can kind of just take a look at what is happening with you and because quite often when we're in the zone, we're not really, time kind of flies, and we're just, and we know as addicts that there's just one way with any kind of addiction. And so might be a question of time when a crash comes. So would you be willing to do this, Cindy? Write out, like every day before you go to sleep, send to me, just the time schedule, what you did for yourself, what were the times, as much as you can. And, how much you work, how much you, took out of to talk to your kids, or, whatever. And and monitor it for a week or so and just check what comes out of that for you. Okay.
Sure. The defense in here is why I don't do that, and how I tell other people to do that, but I can't do it for myself. So yes, of course. Thank you. And I need help being held accountable to it. I think that I have it set up so I get lots of validation from people, but I'm not getting nailed except by my children. No one else is giving me feedback about what I need to be doing except for my children when I fall off the mark.
Yeah. Well, from one workaholic to another. Let's just do some work here, Cynthia. Thank you. Okay, so who is next? Joni. Joni, Tina, Jessica.
Turn my sound off, shut my fan. Hi, everyone. I'm Joni, compulsive eater. I'm abstinent. This week, I feel like I've been burnt out. I had core last week. We had a really, a very challenging personality there. And I reeled from it for a while, and I realized she was triggering to me because she reminded me of my ex-husband. So I got to work through that with somebody. And then I'm dog sitting. I didn't put it all together that I'd be away from home for 3 weeks. So I'm just feeling kind of tired and a little burnt out. I did have a good talk with Esther this week. Something that I've done many 4 steps, but the thing that was currently still present was that less than or not good enough feeling that I still struggle with at times, and did some work around my parents, mostly my father, and that was really helpful. And I've just been kind of thinking about that and working on that. And I really like the idea of putting myself on my 9th step. I don't think I've done that in the past. Let's see. I think I will. I got a few things on my step 5, and I think I will do those with my sponsor, just because I took my sponsor on. I didn't actually go through all the steps with her. I took her on later, or she took me on later. So I just kind of want to do my little mini fifth step with her so she gets to know me better. So I'll be working on setting up a time to do that. Let's see. Oh, and the other issue that came up is always financial stuff triggers me. And all of a sudden I got hit with a whole bunch of stuff on things on my car. And I always question, do the tires really need to be done? Really? I have to trust. It's been a reputable car place for me in the past. So I just have to trust that these are the things that I needed to get done. And it's just money. It'll be okay. But we know from before how I'm triggered with money. And let's see. I continue to be powerless over people, places, and things. And I've actually had a really nice week connecting, but I feel like I want to do something tonight that connects with somebody because I was home last night. And I always feel weird when I'm home on a weekend night for some reason. So tonight I want to work on seeing if I can do something with somebody so I'm not alone. Otherwise, I got the dogs, but I just want to connect with somebody tonight. So I think that will be self-care for me. What else? I think that's it. I'm feeling pretty good actually, other than being just kind of tired. But
When
thank
we're tired, the only thing we need to do is rest.
yeah, because Encore starts on Sunday, so I'm
Yeah.
just also recognizing, it's okay to just be sitting around and maybe I need to read something that's not alcohol addiction, food addiction related, just like some trashy novel. That's maybe what I should do. So,
Sounds good.
okay, I pass.
Yes. Okay, Jessica.
Good morning. I'm Jessica. I'm a food addict and I'm abstinent today. Like everyone else, I've felt very busy for the last couple of weeks. I was out of town 2 weekends in a row, which often throws me off. And then I still have this job that you have all heard about over and over again that wears me very thin. As far as my step work, I've been working with Esther. I actually set up some extra sessions to work through some stuff. And then also I'll be doing my step 5 this week. And I'm excited about the steps. I'm excited about the hope of evening out the barometer. Like, it feels impossible, but I am hopeful that it could happen for me. And then on the other hand, one of my biggest struggles and resistance is working the steps for the rest of my life adds more for me to do. And I just am in a place in my world where I can't imagine anything else. And so I struggle with that. I'm supposed to actually start going to meetings this week and then forgot. It was on my list, but I got busy in the evenings and my kid had a breakdown and was sick, and I can tell you all the excuses, but yesterday I remembered I hadn't done it yet. So I'm doing that today. But when I think about that, meetings and sponsors and steps every day, and it just feels overwhelming because I'm not getting it all done now. I'm not getting it all done at work. I'm not getting it all done at home. And I know it's necessary, and I know, whatever it takes, but I feel full. I feel full. So, but I'm still putting one foot in front of the next.
Thank you, Jessica. One step at a time, and you'll do it.
Yep.
Okay. Great job. Who is next? Cheryl? Did I say Cheryl? Let's do Cheryl, and then Anne, and Tina, and then Esther.
Hello, my name is Cheryl, and I'm a food addict, compulsive overeater, binger, volume eater, and I am powerless over people, places, and things that I have to constantly remind myself. And I am abstinent today, but it has been under a week, so I'm kind of adjusting, and so I'm feeling a bit scattered but calm. At the same time, I have a worry that I can't get my car out of the parking lot downstairs because it's all electronic, and somehow it went there last night. So I have this fear that I'll get stuck in this condo that I'm actually visiting with a friend. and I'm very grateful today. My issue is to not overextend myself because I've been noticing I'm picking up extra shifts at work and trying to keep busy because of financial concerns that I always have. That's an underlying theme of mine. If I spend money, then I've got to make money, or I feel I'm going down. And yeah, so that's how I do, and I compensate by being really quite busy at work, doing that, which will take me out of my connection with my higher power, my program, my steps, for sure. My step work. I've been really slack, no doubt, probably because of my relapsing of getting into really get into this step 4 or 5. And I hope, I guess, to get that done. And I'm not going to put time pressure on me. I'm not. I want to make my food my commitment right now and get that secure. And I do know how to reach out to Esther and also my sponsor in order to get this done. And it will happen. I'll make sure it does. And right now, it's the food that I need to secure. My 3 meals a day and nothing in between.
Beautiful, Cheryl. And it is usually suggested that we kind of ease off of heavy 12-step work or any kind of heavy work while we're kind of settling into abstinence, for sure.
So how long, if example, how long would you recommend people being absent before they even start going into step like 4 and 5?
Well, it depends. If you're a beginner, then you may need some time. But if you're not a beginner and you've done it before, then you do it every day. You just start doing it because that's what we need to be doing. And you don't wait. And that's where we're kind of going over today is that, okay, something comes up, I'm angry at work, or at somebody driving or whatever it is. That's when I start practicing. And we need to do it as we are in relapse in order to counteract what the emotions that are coming up and take us into the relapse. So what is it that takes us there? It's the resentment, it's the anger, it's the fear, it's all of that. And I need to start using the tools as much as I can. No waiting for that. Because that's eventually what gets you through the relapse. It's understanding what are the emotions that come up so that I do relapse, so that I can do something about those emotions and what comes up. And that is basically my reaction to whatever comes up. That's the 4th step. And then we talk about it with our sponsors and support people. What's happening, get support when things are coming up. I needed to have a lot of people around me. I was as a drama queen. And when I was doing this work in the beginning and the early days, because I just understood that I just needed help on every turn. Just needed so that I wouldn't fall into the hole. And I need real guidance, and I really needed to be led so that I would be able to, walk around the holes. And as we are in relapse, whatever we have learned, it kind of it's like it's taken away. It's like we all of a sudden we just don't remember. That's the disease, just kind of covering our eyes. So this is why we have people in each hand for support, and you're doing it, Cheryl. You're really, really doing it. I know, because I'm working with you. And just Just be patient with yourself and do the best you can. Beautiful, beautiful woman, and beautiful, beautiful work that you are doing for recovery. I have a client here in Iceland who has been in relapse now since last June. Horrible bulimia, binging, relapse, like multiple times a day, binging and throwing up, and like horrible situation for months and months and months. And she's just been persistent with the treatment, with the support, and her mindfulness work and all the tools that she has been learning. And this is a lady who came to me first, like in 2010. She had like 10 years of very stable abstinence. And then things started happening, and her abstinence broke down, her base, and then a lot of trauma and stuff came up for her, so that she's really been in trauma therapy for a couple of years now, heavy therapy work with me and other people. And but now she has 27 days. She has 27 days. And she found a touch of really sitting with herself in meditation in the morning, connecting to her body, to her mind, to sitting with herself. And then she's gotten it in a way that now she can, as she goes into the day, just catch herself again and again into that sense and being and feeling. And she's busy. She got a new job, and she's like high active personality, lots of fun, and that is, it's actually, she's been out of work for a year or something because of her illnesses. So if she can do it, you can, Cheryl. I'm telling you. We can. It just takes, she's been there since June in this horrible way. But she's just kept going. And you have now almost a week. Yeah. That's major. You're doing it. And I think you got the glimpse. You got the glimpse of what you need to do. We got the tranquility here. It's just remembering. Anything else, Cheryl? You look so beautiful today.
I'm all made up because I'm going to work after this.
Oh.
So under my blanket is all my dress up work stuff.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so Anne and Tina.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Anne, a sugar addict, powerless over sugar and ultra-processed foods. And sort of going along with the theme today, I'm recognizing that one of my risky areas, if I look back in the past where I've lost, which I wouldn't have called abstinence then, but when I might have fallen into eating sugar again, is what lots of people are saying, not manage, too much, not too many commitments, and perhaps not managing that. So I'm aware of that. For example, I found myself this morning, things like, I'm in a book club. The meeting's coming up at my house on Wednesday. I haven't even downloaded the book yet, so I'm there this morning downloading the book. So so they're nice things that perhaps I'm feeling that I'm not getting around to. But also, I said in my presentation yesterday that I've just become a trustee of a charity that's in crisis. And I feel like I'm really not really giving there's only 6 of us involved in that. And I'm feeling a bit like I'm not giving as much of my time to that as I would like to. So I'm just reflecting on that and realizing that I need to be careful about that. I know that's one of my big danger areas. I am abstinent. I didn't say that. And I'm very enormously grateful that my therapist, long standing therapist that I'd stopped working with and said goodbye to, he'd give me a present. We'd done a massive goodbye. And then I contacted him and said, can I come back? So I'm so grateful that he's in his mid-70s, not looking for any clients. And it's just helpful, in the step forward. I'm finding it difficult. I find the language very difficult. I don't need to go on about that anymore. But he's a good person to sort of translate this stuff with. So slowly, bit by bit, I'm nowhere near really step 5 yet. I'm trying to get the most out of it, and that's it really. So thank you.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, we have still one more session to do. And I was thinking as we go through that one, I would maybe take you through like a resentment or something if you want it, just to see what would happen with it. So think about it, Anne, and let me know when you can do it. Okay, so Tina, go ahead.
Hi, Tina. I'm a food addict, all kinds of food volumes. I am powerless over just everything, really. And I think I have power, but I really don't. And I'm abstinent. And this week, God has given me so many gifts this week. And I keep getting reminded that as I'm willing to lean into these steps, God is doing for me what I cannot do for myself. And I had a 9-step amends with my sister. And it came about it unfolded in a very gentle way. I hadn't planned to. We were on the phone on Monday. I was just going to do a quick 10-minute check-in because I was going to call my sponsor. And my sister let me know that she works in a school and they had a holiday on Monday, so she didn't have a time constraint. And I said, well, I'll call you back after I talk to my sponsor. Well, I called my sponsor and I'd gotten the time wrong. I actually had called her an hour too early. So I got back on the phone and talked with my sister, and I felt the little nudge from God, Holy Spirit, saying, this is the time. Ask your sister if she would be willing to hear an amends. And my sister's in program. And so I took the leap, and I had written out a letter prior, and I had it on my laptop, and I didn't read it verbatim, but I said what I needed to say. I didn't go into details about the specific harms I had done because my step guide had suggested that I talk in generalities so that I didn't possibly re-trigger the hurts for her. And then my sister, because she knows, because she's been working step 8 and 9 as well, she said, actually, I would like to hear specifics. And I said, okay. And I talked specifically, and I felt the thing that blows me away about all of this is that as I'm doing this, as I'm talking and sharing with her what I've seen about myself, I have no self-pity. There's zero self-pity, none, which is amazing because in the past, every time I've tried to make apologies for things, there's been such a sense of berating myself, beating myself up. You're a terrible person. Oh, I suck. There was absolutely none of that. And what has been exchanged for that is a deep empathy for the other person and what they actually felt because of my behavior, which is a completely different. God is doing for me what I could not do for myself, blowing my mind. I don't know how this works, but I just know what I'm experiencing. And so there was just a huge shift in me, my feeling towards my sister. And it's not done. More will be revealed, but it was a really good beginning. And then on Thursday, I was talking with my daughter, who's my stepdaughter, and she's on my list. And there's a lot with her. And we happen to have this moment of being able to connect. She's a single mother of 2 children, and barely 1-year-old, and she works full time. She just has a very full life. And we were talking, and I was telling her about an abstinent meal. This was another gift this week. My youngest daughter's boyfriend came over. He's from the Middle East, and he brought us Middle Eastern food. And I was willing, I talked to my sponsor about it. I knew what he was bringing, and I stayed abstinent, but I had an experience Middle Eastern food that I've done in my life. And it was, I won't mention the food, but it was a sort of meat that I didn't remember ever having. And I was sharing this with my daughter. She said, "Oh no, we had that meat when we went to someone's house, your friend's house in San Francisco." And then she was recounting to me her memory of that day. And I ended up making an amends because, and here she was telling me about her perception of what happened that day. We were at a friend's house. There was a pool. She went to dive in and she hit her leg on the edge of the pool. And I didn't jump in the pool to save her, to get her. And it all came rushing back to me. And I was just sitting and listening, just listening. And it was coming back to me, and my heart broke. My heart just broke because I was so self-centered, so afraid and so self-centered that my action was not in alignment what really in my head my values are. And I just said, I'm really sorry. I am so sorry that I didn't attend to you the way you needed to be attended to. I'm so sorry. And she, "Oh, it was so long ago. It's okay." I know it's not okay. It hurt her. And it made me realize that raising her as a stepmom, there's a lot. That's going to be an amends. It's going to be a living amends. And at the same time, she said, "I'm really struggling right now. Could you and Dad come and help me? Could you and Dad come and help me? I'm not going to have childcare for the next month. Could you come?" And I said, "Yes, we can." And talk to my sister. She's like, "That's a living." It's the way this is unfolding is just, it's miraculous. It's not ever anything I've ever experienced in my entire life. And there's so much more, but the gift of this step work, even though it hurts and it feels hard and scary, is beyond what I could ever, no one could tell me. And there's more. There's a treasure trove of gifts in this, and I'm just really grateful. That's my gratitude. I don't have any issues today. Thanks.
Thank you, Tina. Beautiful. Those are gifts, incredible gifts, and they do happen. Okay, let's bring Esther in.
Hi everyone, my name is Esther. I'm a food addict, a compulsive overeater, a volume addict as well, I think. I'm powerless over many things food-wise. It's sugar, flour, volume, and processed food, ultra-processed food, definitely. And also many other things, people, emotions, character defects, things that are happening in the world, in my country, in politics. And I've also had a very busy week and very colorful in a way. But I'm abstinent today, and I'm at a place, I think, where I feel that my abstinence is, it's been like almost 140 days, so it seems quite a lot from day 0. And I'm doing my 12th step in my recovery program. So I only have one more official meeting with my sponsor before I become a sponsor. But what I'm experiencing, or this week, what I've had is that this abstinence feels very fragile. And it's not because I feel that I'm in danger, but I can just sense it every day, or often at many meals, that these moments when I am packing food for my children, or when I'm making sandwiches, or when I'm baking bread. So feeding a family of 5 every day, 3 times a day or 5 times a day, and shopping for them and everything, that's just constant trigger. I can't avoid the trigger. So I'm going to give them cheese, and I'm going to get some chocolate, much less than I used to. And they are eating bread, of course. So why would they stop? So I don't know if it's because of this being in this constantly triggering environment, which my attitude is much, much freer and much, much better, or what it also adds to it, that there a lot of things have been happening. So my husband's been ill this week, so I had to attend to that. And of course, there was a lot more on me at home. I made my 9th step amends with my aunt on Tuesday, which was very interesting, because she did tell me some things that were hurtful to her, and it was very, very interesting. She's a dietitian, an old-fashioned dietitian, and when we were meeting at lunchtime, and she had asked me previously, can she cook for me? And I said very politely, and I think in a loving way, no, thank you. I'm bringing my own food, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. But it turned out that she got offended about this. And she felt that I question her as a professional, I question her as an aunt, I question her. She's a very strongly narcissistic and very egoistic woman. She's and she also diagnosed with bipolar. So she's very troubled. But it was very interesting to experience that I was just sitting there, letting her talk and cry and be offended and everything. And I could remain in my stability and just know that it's about her. And I know my intentions, and I know that my safety with my food is the most important thing right now. And I could stand up for that. And I didn't want to convince her, and I didn't let her convince me or influence me in any emotional way. So that was a very new and very, very good experience for me. Also, I had a 5th step meeting with Tina actually this week, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And it was also very interesting because my 5th step is not very far away, so I did that like 2 months ago. But there was one issue that I felt I needed some more work to be done on that, and I did have some things on the list, but when we got to the conversation, I just realized that this is the important thing, and it was very, very very meaningful, very deep, very helpful. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And I still have some amends to do, I would say minor ones, one next week, and then maybe 2 or 3 in March, because I just couldn't find an appointment with these people for February. But yeah, but that's okay. So I try to pray for them, or I try to pray for the situation. So I think I'm doing pretty okay, and I feel nervous and excited about this sponsoring thing, but I still have some time to prepare. But it's very, yeah, it's I don't think I can believe that I'm here, but I'm here. So
Absolutely, Esther. How beautiful to listen to you and to see the changes and what really this program is doing for you, for sure. And we could hear Paul say yesterday, he can't be around beer, we may not be able to be around bread, and then so it's a dilemma. It is, we're struggling with our substance, and And so you may need to just be extra careful for you and, you know, and to see if there are ways within the family to have something different than what you know, is difficult for you. I needed to take, you know, ask my ex-husband to not use certain foods, and we take the, you know, just not bringing them into the house. Other things I could do, and I always remember he would buy a cake, and then he will have one slice, and 3 weeks later I need to throw it out because he forgot. Oh my God. That was something. And of course, before I got abstinent, you know, I never needed to throw anything out. For sure.
Yeah, I think if I can just add, what helps me in these situations is looking at it as service.
Yes.
Somehow, service gained a new meaning for me in recovery. So I'm not doing it from a victimhood position in most of the time. Not every time, because it's genetically in me, this victimhood thing. But I'm learning to find a different starting point for being at service for my family members, for my children, for my husband even. So, and that helps. So that helps me stay free from the food and helps the trigger to go away very quickly. But I know that it's risky. So I will be thinking about that and what solution I can find.
Good for you, Esther. Thank you. Okay, we have two more people. It's Mona. Can you hear? Can you come in? And then we have Mary in the car. Mona, can you hear? Can you come in? May not. So Mary, can you talk? What we're doing here is just going over the week and where we're at with the material, the treatment material. Go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Mary. I'm a food addict, compulsive overeater, and a lot of other things too. I am abstinent, thank God. I am feeling a lot of emotions today and lately. I have like a sick pit in my stomach. I feel like tears are gonna probably come before I stop talking. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm disappointed. I'm scared. I feel stressed out. I feel resentful. I feel sorry for myself. Worried, but also grateful and hopeful, despite all of that. And my issue, well, my step work, I'm not really keeping up with the class. I've just had too much going on. I did a 9th step with my aunt and one of her caregivers this week because I had like gone behind her back and asked the caregivers to help me with something for her. And one of the caregivers took a big personal offense to this, what I thought was a lovely, kind text that I sent out. And so we finally kind of hashed it all out at my aunt's house this week. And, you know, it was good. Like I didn't have a whole lot of emotion about it. Like, she was trying to kind of make me grovel. She was, you know, like when you say you're sorry to someone and they're kind of just like, And my aunt was like, you know, she said to the caregiver, you're making her grovel now. And I said, oh no, there's no groveling. I'm done. You know, I've said what I said, and you know, I hope you can accept my apology, and I'd like to get back to the way things were. I hope you knew that I didn't mean it like that. And you know, that's it. And I really meant it. I was not going to get caught up. If she did not accept my apology, I was going to be absolutely fine. And she did. And, you know, by the end of the visit, she was kind of back to joking around with me a little bit. And, you know, so it was good. But I was really happy that I didn't put all my eggs in that basket of like, oh, you have to forgive me. I'm going to beg you until you forgive me. No, So I really feel, I'll tell you what's going on with me issue wise, but I really feel like for me, my sponsor wants me to just do a 10 step about it. But for me, what helps me is when I'm in situations is I start from one. Like what I'm about to tell you now is I'm going to sit down and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, quickly through whatever problem I'm having. That's what works best for me. Because I've got to start with not my resentment. I got to start with I am powerless over this current situation or this current person. Well, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the way up to the steps. So, my issues this week are I started a new job, a nurse practitioner job that's 2 days a week, and the orientation process has been for shit. It's crap like most orientation processes, and I'm pissed about that. And then, I have lost I've been really, really deeply involved in the shift community for years now, and just deeply, deeply embedded with the meetings and attending meetings for my own support and, sponsoring people and being sponsored by somebody. And now I'm an employee. And so I really can't go to the meetings anymore for support. So I have lost like the thing that has cradled me for the last 2.5 years. And I haven't found a replacement yet. And I'm reeling from it. I'm really, it's really tearing me up. Like I've lost my backbone, my spine. And I still have my handful of friends, and my sponsor, but it's really working on me. And so I adopted a cat 4 weeks ago. And it was a bit impulsive, not completely, but it was a bit impulsive. And, I adopted an adult cat, and it was a whole bunch of shit. He was sick and he was not neutered. And so I had to spend a lot of money on all this stuff and back and forth with the animal rescue about, you should have given me this cat like this, or we're not going to reimburse you. Well, you should. Well, we're not gonna. And then he's become like just a maniac. I can't sleep. He wakes me up. He's jumping all over me. He's tearing me to shreds. He's a baby, like he's supposed to be a 2-year-old cat, and I got a kitten. And so he's running around my RV like a crazy person and just ripping me apart. And he doesn't like to travel. He's afraid of everything. I had a friend come over yesterday. He wouldn't go near her. So it's just not working out. And I've been thinking and talking for like a week about taking him back. And no, don't do it. Don't, and then I'm just like, you know what? This morning when I woke up with him dug into my scalp with his claws, playing with my head in the middle of the night, I just said, I can't. I just fucking can't do it. I just can't do it. And so this beautiful little orange muffin is in a carrier next to me in the car right now, and I'm on a 2-hour trek back to Gainesville where I adopted him to give him back. And it makes me feel like shit, so sad, so poor. And luckily the guy at the shelter said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. Cats move like this. He'll find another home in no time. It's not a big deal." But I'm failing him. I'm failing myself. But for the first time in my life, I said to him this morning, I said, "I love you, but I love me more. I love me more, and I just have to do what's best for me. And this is not working. And I can't commit to 12 to 15 years of this. I have to take care of myself. I have a sick aunt in Orlando who almost died again last week. And, I'm her person. And, so I've got 2 new jobs, a new cat, a sick aunt. I'm living in a place, that's new to me, where I don't really want to be. I've got a project due in a week, and the school has been tough on me as well. And, so I guess I'm just on the pity pot today, and I won't stay on it, and I have to say that abstinence that is what has still grounded me. If I didn't have my abstinence and my cooking and prepping and packaging my food and all that, that's my backbone now. I have to find some new support. I know this was really long. Sorry, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mary. I'm so sorry you're needing to go through all of this, and anything connecting with animals is just so, it's like the heart is being ripped out of our breast. I know. And, but you know, it's the right thing to do. You do. Okay, anything that we can do to support you, Mary, just let us know, and stay with us as much as you can. And we're going to take a break now. Mona can't talk, and Mona got lost somewhere along the line. So let me see. It is 12 minutes past. So let's come back 20 minutes to the next hour. Well, let's have a good break, and we'll come back, and then we'll go into the 9th step work. And so here we are in the 17th of February again, and we are going to go into the 9th step, 8th a little bit, and the 9th step. So let me see, maybe because, okay, so share screen now. So here I am sharing screen. 8th step, step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And it doesn't say, I am willing to make amends. I became willing. And that is very important to hear, because this is something that we need to work toward. And first of all, we, of course, write up the list of possible harms. We do the praying or the asking for guidance, and actually like that more than prayers, but prayers are the same thing, so it doesn't matter to me. And asking for guidance, meditation, and ask for guidance on what to do for each person, place, and thing on the list. And here, I think this is probably Cindy that she found this from the Alcoholics Anonymous book, from the back of it, 552. He said, in effect, if you have a resentment, you want to be free of it, if you will pray for the person or the thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, their happiness, and you will be free. Even when you don't really want it for them, and your prayers are only words, and you don't mean it, go ahead and do it anyway. Do it every day for 2 weeks, and you will find you have come to mean it and to want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you now feel compassionate, understanding, and love. Very, very strong. This exercise is very strong. And I was lucky enough, because this is not in the Icelandic version of the big book. And but somebody taught me to do this, and I think it was because Joe and Charlie had come here, and we were pretty affected by their way of doing and teaching the big book. And this, of course, was one of the things that they suggested. So, of course, we do that. Everything we were told, we do. And as a consequence, something did change in our lives, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. So just to put this in here, and one, as you start doing the list, it may be one thing on your list or like 100 or something. Like for me, it took me a long time and every day to do this. And then I had done it for 2 weeks, and I realized that my resentment was not gone, and I wasn't sure yet. So I kept doing it. I just kept doing it until I didn't need to do it anymore. That's it. And as I was reading this, I really realized that I need to do this prayer for one person that I resent. Well, a few, probably about 3 or 4 people that I am having problem with right now. Okay, we'll see. So here we are. Let's go to step 9. So step 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when doing so would injure them or others. So direct amends are amazingly strong as and when we do them, when it's right, when it is right to do it. Not always, it's not always right. And we don't go to somebody who severely abused us and ask him forgiveness, it's just does not happen. And it should not. But it is interesting in this work how even the most horrible traumas and abuse people can get to in terms with really seriously. And I've just had this experience on my own skin within really severe, horrible things that happened in my own family, very close relatives. And that I'd be able to just come to terms with it and acceptance, even though I never really will have to forgive what was done. I have accepted it and come to terms with the person that caused all of this horrible pain in my family, with my children. Okay, so for your life to change, you need to change. So this sentence comes again and again and again for ask encouragement, because we did not start this to stay the same. We started all of this work so something would change. And all of these steps are changing us one step at a time. This step is the pivotal step. As we do what we are suggested to do, this is where we get the promises, and we'll go into the promises very soon. So the assignment is we work with a counselor, sponsor, or a trusted fellow to prepare for the amendment process. We are only cleaning up our side of the relationship. And for the longest time, I really needed to go into, how do you say it? Relationships where people had really been abusive to me. And one story for you guys was that as I started the treatment center for food addiction here in Iceland, people both in Gray Sheet and OA, they just went ballistics. I was just stealing the 12 steps, blah, blah, blah. And, I was really attacked for what I was doing. They did not understand that there was such a thing as treatment for food addiction. And this is pretty much what is happening around the world. People, like when we think about alcohol and drugs, there's been treatment since 1939. People know that alcoholics and drug abusers and compulsive gamblers and others need treatment, but they don't understand that food addicts need treatment. That was just like really a new concept. And so that is 18 years ago. And so in the first years, I just needed to let go of what other people thought about what I was doing, and just know that I was coming from a professional place and I was working under real support of the principal of the addiction counseling diploma school here in Iceland, and then Phil and Mary and others of my peers as we started, gathering together in the Food Addiction Institute and learn from each other and support each other as we were doing this. Phil and Phil started doing this like 40 years ago. And but he worked through a psychiatric hospital. Just imagine if we had that working on treatment, the Glen Bay Hospital. And so I think that probably helped him, and he would really be careful with his connection to the 12-step programs. And through the years, people in OA, where they used to do an AA and other fellowships, did not know that they were doing treatment. It just kept it very, very private. And it's for that reason, I guess. So, and when I came across these kind of relationships, sometimes people are just very jealous of you, or do not want to see you succeed, and that's their stuff. And I needed in those instances to take a look at what my part was in it. What is my part? And I realized that I'm a domineering personality. And when I got abstinent, I became like 3 suns, just like shining and so happy, so on the pink cloud. I was so affected by this new life that I had gotten, that I was just like, I couldn't help myself. I was compulsive in my happiness, really. And I'm sure that was hard for a lot of people that was still in the disease and not having this kind of a spiritual experience in their life. And so I needed to just realize that me and my personality, the way that I was unaware in the situations with people, that I was triggering a reaction in them because of me. Not saying that we shouldn't be happy and joyous and free, like what I was very early on in my abstinence, and have been, I think, pretty much ever since. But I needed to come to terms with that and what my behavior is with other people affects other people. Didn't want to really think about that. Other people just should take care of themselves. I shouldn't be responsible. And of course, I know that I'm not responsible for their reaction, but I am responsible for me in the situation. And so I've kind of learned to adjust to kind of tranquility and a temperament a temperament, which feels really good because now my ego does not have to shine through my abstinence because I have such a beautiful abstinence. Doesn't have to. I can just be tranquil in how I feel and how my spirit is working. So just to kind of get one more aspect into, where we are maybe responsible and have very little to do with a difficult situation with another person, but we do play a part. If we're there, we'll play a part. And just to be willing to take a look at that. How am I playing a part? Not to make me wrong at all, but just to acknowledge, okay, yeah, so I'm triggering somebody who really hurts me, and that's her reaction. And it is because of something in me that I trigger. I need to see that as well. Okay, so here I put in here a link. You can click on the link and you can go to those pages that I've set up here. And we're going to go through at least some of them. And so all of this are sentences from the big book, instructions from the big book. And so let's kind of go through at least some of it. I may skip some. So what is said in the big book in the beginning is that we don't emphasize on the spirituality. It's if we are going to make amends, it's not, oh, I got religion or I got spiritual awakening because of that and blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It is more just, yes, accepting and even saying, if that is appropriate, that you're working this work. And in order for you to stay abstinent, this is one of the things that you need to do, is to make amends. And if they're willing, you ask if they're willing to listen to your amends. So you make an appointment with somebody. You ask for a time where you can be alone, if possible. And I would always suggest that if that is possible. I made a really difficult mistake at, when I made one of my amends with my son. We did it in a restaurant. He wanted to meet in a restaurant, didn't really understand what I was going to be doing, and me neither. It was one of my first amends. And, he was really affected and had a lot of emotional response. And then, of course, we were in a situation where we couldn't quite resolve the whole issue at that time. So we've needed to kind of walk through that process slowly and surely ever since. But that was really something that I felt was a mistake. So please be careful where, and specifically if you know that there might be some real deep emotions running behind, like with children, spouses, really good friends that you've had difficulties with, work partners and such. So we're doing this so that we can be of service, and I never say that. I don't emphasize the spiritual part that much. It's just not appropriate for me. But I do make it a point when I do these that I am asking them if they please listen to what may be my part of my amends for things that I feel that I have done to harm. Don't shy away from the subject of God. That's it from the big book. And if that is something that is in your heart, then you do that, you know. And for me, God, and I know for so many, just the concept of God is a tough one. And you know, it just I don't want, when I have been doing this, I've kind of now wanted to complicate things or make it difficult for anybody, because so many have resentment toward God. They don't want that to be set up. They feel they're set up if that is talked about. So be conscious about it. So if an enemy, go to him in a helpful and forgiving spirit, confessing your former ill feelings and expressing your regret. So I had a friend many years ago, and she was doing 12-step work. I was doing 12-step work. And at one time she asked if I was willing to listen, and I said yes. And we, of course, were like in a restaurant or something, and or in that kind of a setting. And she told me that she had hated me and wanted to kill me on multiple times. And, you know, it was like, what? This had been one of my best friends. And so it was kind of shocking to hear. But then instead of just stopping there and just doing her amends, now she told me what I should be asking her to, you know, for forgiveness for, because I had, of course, not done that, and I have been abusive in this and that and all kinds of ways to her. This is not how we do the 9th step. Seriously. Another person may have done you much harm, more than even you have done them. And I had never wanted to kill her, for sure. But, you know, so here's the differences in what can come up. And once we have put out there what it is that we have done, we feel we have done, there's questions. There's questions like, can you forgive me for this? Just that very simple question. Can you forgive? And now I've told you what I feel I've done to you. Can you forgive? Another question is there anything that I have done that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to tell me? Is there anything that I have done that I haven't disclosed that you'd like to tell me? Quite often people will say something if they're not too codependent. Codependent people, and most people will say, no, nothing. So I always add on to that, if anything comes up, are you willing to come to me and let me know and talk to me about it later when you're ready, if anything comes up? So I open the door to a person going home, being affected by this incident and this work, and realizing something that they hadn't, in the moment, that I had done to them. So I open up for them to say that, send something about it, or next time we meet, or something like that. And with my children, I have a daughter, and so I did a 9-step, very deep with all of my children, and it was about the hardest thing I have ever done, was to face up to the harms I had done to my children, being the addict I was. And one of them is a little bit of a, has always had a lot of difficulties with her temper, and but she was very, thank you, and can't remember anything. And then we had, then the time came. The time came when we were talking, and it triggered what I had done, and she had not told me. And I'm telling you, we had like 2 hours, of, she was just like blasting it out. She just blasted out all that, how it had been, how she felt, what I'd done, and all of it, all of it, all of it. And the only thing I did was just to be there and accept everything that she said, and saying how sorry I was. Just really listening and hearing and accepting. And even if everything was true or not, didn't really matter. This was her experience, and she was bringing it out. She was trusting me for her experience. And after that, we've been able to trust each other. She's always been able to, so trust got healed at this point. With my 2 other kids, they haven't been able to blast at their mother that much, but when they do, I am there the same way. Just like, okay, I hear you. I hear you. And I will hopefully hear more, so more trust can be brought on between me and them. They're all pretty grown up, my kids. My son is 50. And my daughters will be. I had 3 kids. First kid when I was 18, and then 21 and 2. 3 kids, very young. And I'm so grateful that I was stupid enough to have all those kids when I was very young. Otherwise, I would probably not have. And yeah, so let's go forward here. Never criticize or argue. Simply tell him, and we will never. Oh, Tina, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had a question about this asking for forgiveness, because some of the big book study that I've been in this year, that wasn't part of the amends process, is wanting anything from the other person other than just to admit and confess and apologize for the behavior, the harm done, without an expectation of any kind of forgiveness or asking for forgiveness. Could you talk about that? Because I didn't see that really anywhere. I know it says go with a forgiving spirit on my part, but can you talk about that part of it a little bit? I'm a little just confused.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is how I was taught to do it. This is the Joe and Charlie, and from their guidelines, and it was, it helped me. I'm going there to really disclose what it is that I feel that I've done to harm a person. And I'm not going to expect anything for sure. And as you were saying it, I might not actually been taught to ask if there, but I do actually, as I'm thinking back, I really do think that I was suggested to ask for forgiveness. But I may be wrong. I'm gonna check myself for that. But absolutely, the question, if there's anything more, then would you be willing to let me know? Absolutely, that one. And let me see what else. Yeah. And then once we do this, I think just maybe as I'm thinking about it, Tina, and thank you for bringing this up, is that I've always, it's been so in my psyche that I am going there to ask forgiveness. That's what I'm going for. Yes, I'm committing to what I did, but I am asking for forgiveness. I must have read that somewhere. It's so stuck in me. And, whether a person is willing or not is besides the point. That is where I cannot, that I need to let go of. That's where I need to let go of. And like with my friend that wanted to kill me, she hated me so much, I never got to say, anything, because she just started blaming. And so there could be no healing coming from that place. But as I would say, even something so horrible to somebody, I hated you so much, I wanted you to die and I wanted to kill you, oh, what a drama. Hearing that coming from a sincere place, I'm sorry. From this humble place, I'm so sorry how that may have affected you. When that comes forth like this, it's so easy to even forgive something like that. It's just easy. You may not want to be close friends with that person anymore, but and I'm not. I needed to take her out of my life. This was not okay, and she actually had a lot of mental problems. Anyway, so
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if part of the need to have forgiveness from the other person, it just doesn't feel comfortable personally to not have some sort of a sense of reconciliation, but I'm not sure. I mean, in this step, I'm not sure if if reconciliation is the goal, and that if it's really about cleaning my side, admitting what I've done, getting myself clean, and then the result is up to God. And with some of the amends that I did with former roommates and stealing their food, they offer, I didn't ask for forgiveness. They just said, I understand and I forgive you. I didn't ask for forgiveness, but they felt like they wanted to say that or whatever. And so I don't know, maybe that's a way of gauging that the apology has been accepted, and maybe that's what part of it is. But I guess maybe in reading this, that some people may not be able to accept an apology, like they just can't. They've been hurt too badly, or they just don't trust. Trust has been broken to the point where they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it say? Something like 9 times out of 10, you get a positive response, but maybe there's just that. That 10% or 1%, whatever, where it just is what it is. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Tina. So Esther, you had something.
Yes, I just wanted to add, when I was doing this step, another question. I can't remember the 4 questions, but I remember that it was 4. But I know that one other question was, instead of this forgiving thing, what can I do to make it right?
Oh, that's what I was forgetting. Yes, Esther. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That I felt I had forgotten one. What can I do to make it right? That's it, Esther. Thank you for setting it in there. Very, very important. And then I remember one client of mine, or actually a sponsee of mine from early days. She had needed to go to her ex-husband and make amends for some stuff. And he was so happy. Now he just wanted her back. That was what she was supposed to do for him. And of course, that was not an option for this lady. So we can be, we need to also know that if we're asked to do something that does not feel comfortable, we don't have to do it. We can put on the pause button and say, okay, this I need to just think about and talk to my sponsor about, or something like that, or say, no, this does not feel comfortable for me to do as we go forward. So that's what we learn slowly and surely for our codependency issues. Okay, so so tell them, our manner should be, okay, I'm going too fast here. Never try telling him what he should do. Never criticize or argue. Simply tell. We tell him we will never get over our eating, drinking until we have done our utmost to straighten out our past, so that they get a sense of the background and what we're all about here. Never try to tell him what he should do, like my friend who hated me, started to do. His faults are not to be discussed. We stick to our harm, and our manners should be calm, frank, and open. And don't dodge your creditors. Tell them what you're trying to do and make no bones about your drinking. And also, as if you're working with debt, you need to start making some payment amends as you go. That's one of the things we need to be sure to do. And many of us have difficulty with debting, under earning, and spending. These are character defects that many addicts have as one of the disorders that we can be dealing with. And it's the same kind of behavioral as gambling. It's just the gambling is just so severe when people get caught up in it and they lose so badly. But it's the same with debting. It's a really, really same. People kill themselves coming from those things. So it's very important that we can help and support in order to start making payment amends if we're dealing with that. So arrange for the best deal you can and let them know you are sorry. We must lose our fear of our creditors, no matter how far we have to go, for we are liable to drink if we are afraid to face them. And I myself at one point, oops, what did I do now? Oh, okay. I myself needed to go to DA and learn the DA program so that I could really deal with these aspects of my addictive personality. And I had quite a while, and I learned so much, which has so benefited me in my life, basically. I don't think I will ever be perfect in those issues, and I don't have to be, but I really did get a lot of help. So what happened here? Let me go back.
Sorry, Esther, what is DA?
Debtors Anonymous.
Okay, thank you.
Oh boy, here you go. Here we go. Sorry about this. Oh my God, I don't know what's happening here. Let me just stop this here. Computer is going all over the place. I think it is because my big book is on it. Okay. Probably that's the case. Let me see. Treatment practicum. Stuff 9. And let's share again. Here we go. And I know that I needed to for a while because I was in debt and I didn't have a lot of funds to get out of it for quite a while, that I needed to just pay very little amounts. And I just did that in spite of them wanting more amounts. And finally I got everything paid. But in the end, took a while, longer than what my creditors wanted me to do. And remind yourself that you have decided to go to any lengths to find a spiritual experience. And the experience comes as we step into our fears of doing whatever we need to do, or we feel that we have to do. We ask God for strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. We are willing, we have to be. And so this is learning to trust. And it's not an easy task to learn to trust. And but as we come into the spirituality of this program, we start noticing that as we trust and let go, it's like we're what's the word for it? We're caught. We're caught because we're doing the right thing. We get resolution. And sometimes, yes, we do have consequences. And that's where we need to understand there are consequences. For some people, more severe than others. If you've, gotten into some criminal things, and so then the consequences can be severe. But everything and anything can be resolved with good support and help. And please do not try to do this on your own. This is one of the things that we do not do on our own. We get support and help with any and everything that we feel we need to do. And we just really need to face things. So if other people are involved, we are not to be hasty or foolish martyr who would sacrifice others to save himself from the food addiction or the alcoholic bit. So we need to take care of, like in the book, they talk about men that have drunk away their first wife and kids, and then there's another wife and kids, and their dealings like this. We may have something like that, but not so much for food addicts. It's different. And but as we do our amends, if it is going to affect other people in a negative way, we cannot do it. We need to sit with it and find ways to make amends. And that is quite often some kind of a change in attitude and behavior. That we decide that we will change our behaviors in a way that it won't, what we did to that other person or people, we're not going to do again. That might be one. And so that's one. We need to be careful of other people. And if we find that there is a way, like the story of the man in the big book that stood up in church and admitted to what he had done to this former friend of his, and was willing to humble himself with what he had done, he got forgiveness for himself and what he had done. And it's such a beautiful story, because it's so horrible what that person did. And even for something so horrible, you can be forgiven. You can be forgiven. And the big thing is that you do forgive yourself. And we forgive ourselves when we go back in the memory to the place where we did what we did. And we really have talked about this before, and where we just really understand that this is the best I could do. At this point, this is the best Esther could do, or this man could do. This is the level of sickness that this man had to deal with at that point. And many of those things we need to face up to are just not easy. Not easy. And we're told that we just need to do it in spite of it. And as we start doing it, it feels like, at least to me, and I've seen that in so many others, both my sponsees and my clients, is that it becomes easier. And it is because we have more trust that everything will be resolved and go okay. So if we cannot get to people, some may, there's like a lady that I owe amends, and her son in the States, I don't even know her name anymore. And I don't think I will ever come across her. But what I needed to understand, that if that would happen, I would make amends. If she would ever cross my path, or this son of hers, then I would make amends. And that has happened quite often for me, that I have not been able to get to people, and I've made the commitment that when I meet these people, if our paths cross, I will make amends. And I have a really beautiful story of I used to be a voice teacher at a music school, and my behavior had been such that they needed to fire me. And it was very, when I look back, I I so see why. I was just like really crazy there, and the things that I did. And then I met one of the assistant principal in a store, like a Target store in Iceland, and I asked him if he'd be willing to talk, and I told him that I was so sorry that I put him and them in the position to have to do this to me, and that I understand why they did need to do it. And the man started crying. This had had in the middle of the store. This had been so hard on him. And he'd sat with this for years, because this was like 20 years ago, 30 years or something. It's a long time. And so something got released there for me, yes, but for this man. So there's different ways, and sometimes people are dead. And what I suggest when people have died is that we do write out a letter of apology or of what we've done, and just to have a moment, maybe light a candle, have a picture of the person, and just make amends. Say everything and do everything in the same way you would if a person was sitting there. And the thing that I ask people to do when they do this, and sometimes we've done this, they've done this with me, is to be open to hear the answers for the questions in their mind coming from the spirit. And I have yet to do this or hear from anyone doing this that has not gotten incredible answers from the dead, from the spirit of this other person. Beautiful answers. Some people go to the grave and do it there. So there are different ways. If we need to write a letter to somebody, now we have, of course, email, we have snail mail, we have ways of connecting people that we never used to have. We can find people on Facebook and in these medias. And sometimes it's just most appropriate to write a letter, most appropriate. And then we do. And in the letter, I would always suggest those questions and invite if they would be willing to meet with you on the phone or in person, that you'd be happy to do that. So here we come for spouse and family. Now we need to understand that those are the people that we have harmed. When we are in active addiction, we harm ourselves and we harm our family. And often more severely than in the beginning we can imagine that we had, because we love our family. We love them, and we're always doing the best we can. And but when a child says to a mother or father, please be in abstinence, don't stop being abstinent, that means that's something really big that is behind that. They have suffered for the eating of the parent. So with younger children, just to say it, I always suggest just to mildly, possibly. And I think it is a really good thing for children when their parents teach them that when the parent does a boo-boo, that they are sorry, and that they teach their child that when they're doing something that is not appropriate, that they apologize for that. That is bringing up our children in a very sane way. Other things would not be very sane. And ethically, we are get so blind in this disease. Very many people, this comes up quite a bit from the alcoholic, is that, they're just so, the family should just be happy that they're sober. And now the family should just be happy that we're in abstinence. We're not there, and I'm sure the family is, but depending on the recovery that we're having as we go. So we can be white knuckling sobriety, whether food or alcohol or anything else. And when we continue to harm our family and everybody around us and ourselves the most. So here it says we must take the lead. So we clean house with the family, a remorseful mumbling that we are sorry won't fit the bill at all. There needs to be an action. Sit down with family and frankly analyze the past, being very careful not to criticize them. They need space to criticize you. You need to give them that. But we should not be abused. We should not be abused. And when my daughter went ballistic on me, the other year, it was on the verge of being abusive. Really, it was. And but because I know my daughter so well, this was just her way of just really, she just really needed to get her anger out. And this was the time, and I was just so willing to be there for her. If she had kicked me, then it would have been, boom, no more. She didn't. I thought for a while that she was going to bite my head off. Okay. Good to be able to laugh about those things. Okay, so we must just take the lead. And so ask each morning as you're in your family and with your family in meditation. So you see, when you look into the big book, meditation is a thread through the whole book. More and more so when we get to the back of it, because for people in and coming out of using whatever it is, their mind is so clouded. We're stuffed with all the blame and the feelings and the shame and the guilt and all of that, and it really blocks us, so that it is hard for people in the beginning of recovery to really feel meditation and what that can give us. It's like when people are telling obese people and food addicts to eat moderately. They can't. And basically, in the beginning of treatment, we need to know that most people will not be able to meditate and really get the connection. It will come as we do the work, because we clean away the wreckage of the past, as said somewhere. And when we do that in the fourth and fifth step, we've started cleaning out, and then we have the tools to continue to clean out the molding and the ego, and the defects that come up and all of that. And as we learn more and more to clean that up, we come in, there's a space that comes into, that just opens up within us, that was full of all kinds of garbage. Now we're opening it up, and no wonder this is where the ninth step is, where we kind of clean it all out. It's like we open up the cupboard and just get it all out. Once we do, we have entered a new way of being. It's the space for meditation, connection, beauty, love, humility, and life. And here they are. There's a lot of reading to do in all of this, and I would suggest that you kind of went over this material. It is yeah. So here's a more precise. Yeah, because everything that is put up here is also, just good advice as we go forward. So armed with our cards, we start making appointments and we make our amends. Our experience has proven, first, the general rule is always make amends face to face if at all possible. 2, before making any amend, always run the amend past the sponsor. This keeps you from having ulterior motives and ensures you will not inadvertently hurt anyone with the amend. 3rd, pray for strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. 4, we go out to our fellows. 5, repair the damage done in the past. 6, we attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. This is the consequence of that. So that's maybe why we want to change to some other things, how we do it. 7, if we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. And that's the 8th step, the 8th step prayer. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. And here the 9th step, meditation and prayers that I think would be very good to do as we're in this process. God, with regard to this amend, please remove my fear and give me the strength, courage, and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. The meditation, dear higher power, please show me if finishing my amends has anything to do with my eating again or not. Just to contemplate. With our family, we have ongoing amends which require daily attention and prayer. 9th step prayer for the spouse. God, please show me how to make amends to my spouse. My Father, help me to keep my spouse's happiness uppermost in my mind as I try, with your grace, to make this relationship right. so many people, most that come to me for recovery, either as a sponsee, which I don't do much of today, and or through treatment, have difficulties with their relationships. It just is. And why wouldn't it be? Because we haven't really been able to be there to our fullest. We've left the show maybe a long time ago. And it may be right to leave a relationship, for sure, and it may not. And what is suggested is that we give that space, 6 to 12 months at least, not to take any of these kind of decisions. But if it is really necessary, and there are of course going to come up things that make it that make it so that we would need to have somebody removed or remove ourselves or something, then of course we need to get the support to do that. This is not to stay within an abusive marriage if nothing changes, and so on and so forth. So God or higher power, please show me how to find patience, tolerance, kindness, and love in my heart, my mind, and my soul. Show me how to demonstrate these principles to my family and all those about me. Amen. So this is a deeper 4-step resentment prayer for our 9th step. And I'm going to read from the big book. What is it? Okay, let me see here. Yeah, so this is on the on page 83, the bottom. These are the 9-step promises. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Always, always, always. I remember when I read this, and it was quite some time before I got to the 9th step. And It was just something that I could not comprehend at that time. But then as I started doing my work in the 9th step, this is exactly what happened to me. And I think I've talked about it before here, which is that as I did this work, it was so profound for me and my soul that nothing was the same. Nothing was the same. And I can identify with people, very religious people, you know, that would have really strong spiritual experiences. And that was it for me. And I had actually gotten very strong spiritual experiences just through being abstinent and starting to work this work, and as I came into it. But after I did this, it was like I was born again. Can't say it any differently, and it just it you know, not everybody can hear this. But that's how it is, and was, and still is for me. Every time and any time that I do a 9th step, and I need to talk to my sponsor about a couple of things, or one thing actually only. You know, once I've done that, I will be ignited into these feelings, you know, until I do it and have it happen. You know, there's a little screw in my stomach. It will stay there until I do what I need to do. Only when I do what I need to do we get the freedom. So if there are still things to be done, then I won't get this freedom, not in the same way as when I have done at least everything that I know I need to do. Okay, another full day here. And so for next time, if you please read 10 and 11 on the web, everything there. There's one page there that I'd suggest that you print out. It's a picture of like 10th and 11th step prayers and meditation, and the questionnaire that we start doing as we do the 10th and 11th daily inventory practice. So the 9th step is the last step of the action steps. So the 4 through 9 is what we learn to do on a daily basis and use as a practice in our lives. And because you, Jessica, you were saying, you know, with all that you have to do, it's like hard to put something on top of that. The thing, what happens if we're really doing this and learning this and start practicing this becomes our life, and we come from this place. We don't just visit the step work. We become the step work. It becomes where we come from. And that will make everything so much easier to us and for us. And because how we feel as we do that and we get to that place has changed us so much. And we're just like, the emotional barometer is just like very calm. Couldn't care less what weather it is in Iceland, for sure. All of this. Okay, Cindy, go ahead.
Well, I just have a question before we end. In what you shared on the step 9 with the numbers,
Yes.
what edition is that from? Because it doesn't match the
Oh,
pages that I have in my edition. I think I'm using the edition that
are you using
Dr. Gautam references, but I wonder if your edition is a translated Icelandic edition, because the
No.
words are very different in mine.
Yeah, no, this might be from something older. Might be from an edition, an older edition, Cindy, because it's not. It's been photocopied, you see. So we usually use the 4th edition of the big book. And my cat is not happy here. But yeah, thank you for noticing that. And you know, you don't have to know where it is in the book, really. It's just the reading material, and I really suggest that you have it, you know, as a reference of, because there's so much you know, in there that is necessary for us to hear, And I can check. I don't think if we go into the source of it on the link, I don't think even it did say.
No, it's just a link to the PDF. There's no.
Yes.
So that's what I was confused. Like, is this referring to an audio and these are the minutes in the audio, or because it's not lining up with the pages or the paragraphs? I was trying to line it up so I could read my book and reference it, but it's just a different, it's the same intent, it's the same meaning, but the words are different for me. I don't know if anyone else finds that.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Any questions, reminders? Please send Cindy your name, how you want it on the certificate. Exactly. And please send Cindy your slides, PowerPoints. Please. infactschool@gmail.com. So that's it for me. Next time we're going to go over the 10th step. We're going to look at how we practice every day. And I'm going to go over in details. I'll go over the two-way prayer, from Back to the Basics, from Wally P. His books. I don't know if you guys have gotten them. I was so excited when I got those books. Wally P is somebody that met a really old guy on a big AA meeting at one point, and found out when he talked to him that he had been there with Bill and Bob in those early years. And he could really demonstrate the way that they did the work in the early days and set it up in those two books. One is Back to the Basics. That's where they teach how they did it. It was like done in like 24 hours or something. It was just done immediately. Try to get people through. And I think for a lot of people that might be very appropriate, but then of course we need to learn to deepen ourselves as we continue the work. And then the other book is about the two-way prayer, which is something that came from the Oxford group, which was the base spiritual organization, was very widespread all over the world. It was, they even had we're here in Iceland, of all places, those years. And so it was kind of a Christian, that's why the big book has a Christian overview, because that they came pretty much from that. The steps came from the Oxford group, and the two-way prayer came from the Oxford group, and that's what Bill and Bob and Bob's wife would do in Akron. When they were really formalizing the AA, or the Alcoholics Anonymous. And it is, for me, the most amazing meditation, because it connects everything. It connects the body awareness and letting go, formalizing an ask or a prayer or asking for guidance, and then listening for it and writing it out. Then there is a way of what we do with it and for it as we learn to do it. One of it was obeying the guidance. I have always been able to obey everything that my guidance tells me, I'm sorry to say. But pretty much. So that we will do next Saturday, and that will conclude this treatment course, and it will be the last teaching day for you guys. And then, of course, Friday we will have the 3 people doing their projects again. And what I am suggesting for, and we may talk about that on Friday, is for, or Saturday, is for you to really get connected into the alumni as soon as possible, so that we can start and decide on a monthly session, so that the group can really continue to meet, and it would be like a supervision, reconnect, for support, for your own support, for support for what you are continuing to do, and to just stay connected with a community that we're really growing at this point. Esther, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, is it obvious on the website how we can join the alumni? I haven't tried it, but I suppose it will be obvious or logical steps, or is there anything that we should know about that?
Cindy. So we have, do we have?
Just go to the alumni page. You click on alumni, and when you open it, you have an option to join. Once you join, you can get into the members platform, and there are coupons. So there's an option to pay monthly or an option to pay all at once. As cohort members, you get a 50% discount, which I am putting the discount code into the chat. So
Yes.
it's $20 a month,
Or 200.
or it's 200 for the year.
Okay. And then I also wanted to ask, because it's not clear for me, the materials that we have been using for our training course, will they be available for us if we join the alumni, or so can
You
you?
don't get kicked out of the students. You'll still
No.
be a student until the end of this cohort, and you'll still have access to all of this material. When we start a new semester, it opens up new materials for them. So you get access. You won't get, I don't know if you get access to new material, but you get access to previous material.
To the ones that we have been using. Okay, thank you.
And it's also open for you to come into sessions as we go forward as an alumni, with the next session coming on. But for the if you want to do treatment again, the treatment practicum, it's going to be just 1 8-week one. Then and it would be, and we're setting up the dates and everything. We're gonna change a little bit things around, and we'll see what happens with it. But we'll let you know. It should be there coming week, most of the information for all of this. I'm like a slave driver on Cindy here. On the way I've been getting it all happening. Okay, so what the code is, Tina?
So
is
there's
it-
2 different codes, Tina. For the monthly one, it's a 20, 23, 24.
Oh, okay, it's just the
And
number.
for the
It's
annual
not
one,
words.
it's a
Okay.
23, 24. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that.
Okay, any questions?